Well, when I started with the city a number of years ago, we felt that it was really important for the city to develop enterprise GIS capabilities. There were departments within the city who had done some nice things with GIS, but there were many others who just hadn't had a chance to understand the value of what the GIS infrastructure would offer them. So for us, it was important to build a part of our technology organization that really supported an enterprise view. And so we did that. We created the office. We named a GIS manager to have responsibility on an enterprise-wide basis. And that, in conjunction with partners like Esri and developing license agreements that allowed the tools to be accessible to people all across the enterprise, those were really important kind of foundation steps for us to start leveraging the value of what GIS had to offer. Well, I think that once we were able to put our GIS resources together, it really gave us the chance to start thinking about how that infrastructure could help support our operating departments. I remember one of our first tools that we put in place was a product called SnowCop. And what SnowCop was sounds pretty simple now, but this was a number of years ago. And what it did, it allowed us through a map view to start taking a look at where all the snowplows in the city were during a snow event. And I remembered when we rolled it out, we were working on it, and we had an early snow event a couple of years ago. But what we were able to do is to move up into our constituent engagement center, our 311 center, and we were able to project, this SnowCop app for the first time, where everyone could see where the snowplows were. We had overlaid all the data from the CRM system, so as calls were coming in from constituents that, an intersection was blocked, we would be able to see that, icon of the phone call and be able to identify where the closest plow was. So it was really one of the kind of breakthrough moments the organization had to look at the infrastructure that we had offered through GIS to create an application that was so useful and allowed, formally, that data about where the snowplows were only seen by the guy that was managing the event for Public Works. It wasn't seen by everybody else. And so what we were able to do is identify where the plows were, how recently they had plowed certain streets, had all the streets been plowed, where were the calls coming, and it really allowed the city kind of take snow management to the next level. So that was a really important one for us, and I think for a lot of folks it said, this is important. And as we've continued to develop applications, our Citizens Connect application is our mobile app that allows folks to report anything that's going on in the city to the city services department. So it's a pothole, it's a street light that's out, it's trash that didn't get picked up. And again, all of that mobile technology is based on everyone being able to see that thing from a map view. And now we're taking all of those products and enhancing them based on, the additional data that we have that allows that map interface to even be richer than it has been in the past. And so we're excited about what we've done so far. The departments across our city have become much more GIS literate, so we have folks within the departments that are now able to contribute, to this vision that we have of how we can do this going further. And as you look at the data that's coming in and you look at the capabilities of these consumer devices, of these smartphones that now not only have GPS, not only have accelerometers that can tell us, that they found a pothole and they just went over a pothole in the street, but now they're having sensors in them as well. I mean, so, some of these phones now are coming with sensors that can detect, barometer and other kinds of stuff that's going on out there, again, which adds to that data that we can now visualize through a map interface and start thinking of creative ways to use it as city government. Well, I think GIS plays a really important role for us, and what we've been working on over the last couple of years is to be able to be very responsive when a department comes in with a challenge. Because what we have found is that our end users, seeing data through the map interface or seeing combinations of different types of data through a map interface really help them make better decisions. So what we've been working on is to be able to be very nimble in the GIS world. I think GIS is going through that same kind of evolution as a lot of parts of the technology organization, where we have to learn to be a little cooler, a little faster. We can't ask a department to jump through a whole bunch of hoops when they come to us with what they think is a very simple request. And so what we're working on very hard, and we're lucky that we have some really great GIS resources in the city, is moving that forward so that, you know, the GIS aspect of what we do can be as responsive as somebody developing a mobile app. But we believe that the GIS infrastructure that we have and our capabilities there are really critical for us to do this innovation at the top. Well, I think, you know, like a lot of things, we're seeing fairly significant changes in our entire infrastructure. So we see a lot of this moving to the cloud, and within our GIS world, we're well on the way to doing that, which I think is great because IT organizations like ours are going through that change, right? We're not going to have lots of resources worried about the server capacity and worried about whether the email is running or the connectivity coming from, you know, the GPS source, you know, into the infrastructure is working. A lot of that is moving away from us and being provided in the cloud. And again, that's a good thing, right? Because the resiliency and the reliability and the scalability that we can get through the cloud platforms is really important for us. So I think directionally we see a lot of that. But I also think that where it's going to show itself is the fact that the data sources, the variety of the data sources, the velocity of how the data changes, the volume of data that we have to deal with is going to dramatically increase. And people are going to want to see that, and they're going to want to see that through a map. And I think that as a city government, our ability to go to the street level or the neighborhood level or the city level or the greater Boston area and to be able to look at all that stuff through that map view is going to continue to be critical for us. And now it's just going to be dealing with a heck of a lot more data than we ever dealt with before.